Israel is being threatened by any of the country, then America will come and will make sure that this process of dismantling Israel will be frustrated. And that's why you are seeing America keeps on pumping money to Egypt, and even Israel supported Fatah al-Sisi, and this is no secret. This is no secret. Nobody can charge me with libel because there is documented evidence that Israel actually paid or even financed Fatah al-Sisi to make sure that President Morsi will be removed from the government and from the seat. For one reason, that is to preserve the longevity of Israel. So what happened in Syria? When, now I'm coming closer to ISIS. And it's about time to end the lecture. Okay. So when there was an uprising in Syria, the FSA was making a headway. They were winning. They were winning in their campaigns. They were winning battles after battle. And a large portion of the country were actually liberated, except Dimash or Damashq. Okay? But Idlib, Aleppo, Hama, where else? All has been liberated. So now, the world has been saying that FSA has been getting supplies from the United States. These are nonsense. Dear brothers and sisters, when you are fighting a war, does it matter where the weapons comes from? Just because you are fighting this corrupted regime, this oppressive regime, so you shouldn't be getting or receiving any weapon from the United States. If they want to give, no, we will not. Okay? We will not accept your weapons because you are the great Satan. I think you should read more about wars. Watch more war movies. Jangan tengok filem cinta aja. You see, there is a problem. I want to say something about movies. Compare our movie industry here and the movie industry in Indonesia. Okay, they come up with a movie. Apa, Cinta Istanbul? Huh? Apa dia? Istanbul aku datang. They spend so much money to come up with a movie about love in Istanbul. They can do it in Lembah Kelang. And compare that with 99 Langit Eropah. Yeah? It is full of message how Muslims live through their daily lives in Europe. These are quality movies. How come they cannot think along that same line? I would like to give a lecture on movies. Okay, coming back. Just think about this. Aceh, I want to give an example in history. At the peak of their guerrilla fight against the Dutch colonial rule, at one time it was commanded, it was led by a lady fighter called Cut Nyadin. Aceh was famous for her female fighters. Even in the 17th century, the Sultanate of Aceh has appointed an admiral amongst the ladies, and she was Laksmana Kemalahayati. And she was a very capable Admiral, not only Admiral, she was appointed as the chief negotiator. When John Lancaster came from Europe, the Sultan pushed Laksmana Kamalahayati to negotiate. Why? Because she can speak 5 languages. Hindi, Spanish, Arab, English, and of course, Chinese. There's no problem of women becoming a Menteri Besar. Oh, sorry. The history is full with women's leaders, even in the Muslim world. I might be saying something that may raise anger. Okay, where was I? Okay, Aceh. So where did Cut Nyak Din got her supply of armament? From the Portuguese traders. And what was the word given by the Portuguese traders to Cut Nyak Din? Aku hanya orang meniaga. It doesn't matter to me who wins. You are fighting the Dutch, who is supposed to be my ally. But money talks. You know, money talks. As long as you have money, your wish will be fulfilled and granted. So it doesn't matter where you get your weaponry from. Doesn't matter. It's from the black market, it came from Libya, it may came from the US, it may came even from the regime. When I went to Mindanao in year 2000, I encountered the Moro fighters, MILF, Moro Islamic Liberation Front fighters. They were assembling the fearsome 50 caliber. You know, 50 caliber is a long muzzle machine gun with a range of up to 4 kilometers. 4 kilometers. It can hit a target from 4 kilometers away. They were assembling this gun. And I asked them, where did you get this weapon from? We got it from the Philippines Army. Did you collected it from the dead Philippines Army? No. They gave it to us. See? The complexity of war. Why did the Philippine Army give the sophisticated weaponry to the MLF, to the fighters? Why? Never asked. They gave it for many reasons. So whoever supplied the weapon is not important. But what happened is FSA grew from strength to strength. They are winning. So there need to be a spoiler. They need to be a spoiler. Because from the American point of view, nobody should be too strong to serve as a threat to Israel. Not Bashar Assad, not FSA. So since FSA will take over and they are winning, America is in trouble. Because if FSA wins, Israel will be in big trouble because Morsi has become the president. Gaza has been under rule by Hamas for the past 7-8 years and they remain steadfast. And in fact, Israel admitted defeat in the last attack. So they cannot let a change of regime change in Syria. If that happens, Israel will be surrounded by Egypt, Gaza, and Syria. So they will do everything at any cost to make sure that Egypt will be taken out of the formula. And Israel tried to subjugate Hamas, Gaza, they failed. Probably Gaza will be our answer. Not Syria, not Iraq. Probably Gaza would be our answer to the situation. And to revert back what has happened, the wrong that has been done to us 100 years ago, we started in 1940. And so, suddenly, ISIS came into the picture. Out of no? Suddenly, they took over the northern part of Iraq, almost effortlessly. Suddenly, they have so much weapons in their arsenal. They have tanks, they have armored personnel carriers, they have anti-aircraft guns. Where did they get this from? From where did they get this from? You have been saying the FSA has been getting supplies from Europe, from the United States. And they have been fighting the regime for the past 3 years and they did not make it. But suddenly ISIS, who came from nowhere, suddenly they came out armed to the teeth. They even took over cities in the north of Iraq. And within this, they declare the Khilafate is now rejuvenated. After the downfall of the Ottomans in 1928, now it has been revived. I think we should all be rejoiced. We have been working so hard for the establishment of the Caliphate. The Caliphate is the answer to our problems. They have been telling us all this while. And now, the Caliphate is there. Why don't you give your bay'ah? And it will resolve the issues. Israel will disappear within seconds. What are the conditions that have led to the sprawling, I say sprawling, because out of a sudden, from nowhere, they suddenly appear and control not only the region but control the scene, control the media. Now let's next. Okay, these are just academic facts. You can. Okay, now this is when the Americans came to Iraq. Okay, I want to say a little bit of background to this. I want to bring you back to 1979, to Afghanistan. You were not born yet, right? You were born. You were not born yet. But that is no excuse for you not to know. Why don't you know all this? Because I am not born yet. That is not a good answer. I didn't know. They will never say it. They will never announce that we are utterly defeated in Afghanistan. No, they will never say it. We are trying to find an exit strategy. Learn from that. If you fail in any of your tasks in life, even if you fail your exam, you have to find out something. It is a strategic failure, Mark. Something like that. Okay. When America was defeated in Vietnam in 1975, you know what was the term that they used? President Nixon, the late President Nixon said, we are in the process of Vietnamizing the war. So, they withdrew, the American troops withdrew in defeat, and yet they were saying that we are actually Vietnamizing the war. We are leaving it to the Vietnamese to handle their own problem. Now what happened for the past 15 years? That's why Afghanistan is a real tough Muslim country. Even though they were so downtrodden, so backward. That's why I had a conversation with a fellow jamaah haji who came back from Mecca, and he was complaining about the Afghans. They were so rough. They were so rough. They were unethical in that sense. They were so rough. And then I told him, it is because of the roughness that they have defeated 3 superpowers 4 times in a row. They defeated the British, they defeated the Russian, and now they are defeating the Americans. And we are so cultured, so lemah lembut, that colonizers came one after the other. The Portuguese, the Dutch, the British, the Japanese. So, it's almost time. It's 20 minutes. 20 minutes is a long time. Okay, so when during the Afghan war, why did Soviet invaded Afghan? That barren land. It's because they want to control the Persian Gulf. Okay? It is the route to the Persian Gulf. Just like they want to control Ukraine so that they can have access to the Caspian Sea, which is also linked to Syria. Okay? Which has got something to do with the downing of MH17. If I have the time, I may give some comments on. So Americans feel threatened. That region is a very strategic region. So what happened? They hire the Mujahideen. Osama bin Laden was actually financed by Syria. This is the truth. So during the Afghan war, you know what was the term used by America to describe the Afghan fighters? The Mujahideen. They mention it, they pronounce it so beautifully. The Mujahideen. And suddenly, when the Mujahideen won the day and took the upper hand, they won over Afghanistan. Soviet has to withdraw, left the scene. Suddenly they became Al-Qaeda. Because now the Mujahideen that they have groomed, that they have financed, has turned into a monster that now is attacking their strategic interests in Yemen, in everywhere else. So that was the start or the beginning of Al-Qaeda. This Al-Qaeda, they joined forces with Taliban. Now Taliban is a very raw, they have a very raw ideology. They interpret the Quran straightforward. To them, there's only 2 situations: Iman, Kufur. There's no gray area. They became very strict. They have a very strict interpretation of the scripture. So that's why you are seeing these atrocities committed by the regime in Afghanistan towards women. They even discourage girls from going to schools. They have a very strict interpretation. Just like us 100 years ago, when girls were kept in homes. It's called pingit. Tahu pingit? Nak kena pingit. Have you heard of gadis pingitan? You know what is pingit? Pingit is not cute. Pingit means you are kept at home, you are not allowed to go out because all your needs will be served or fulfilled by your parents. When you get married, you still stay at home. People are being killed with a gun pointed to their head, head shot. Before their wives, the husband was shot before their wives. The wives were raped before the husband, And this has never been highlighted in the media. If you want to see the pictures, we can show them. But this is not the purpose. I don't like. I abhor showing gory pictures. It doesn't serve any purpose. But the proof is the Shiites have been committing atrocities, gross atrocities against the minority Sunnis in Iraq, and we have not been exposed to this because, again, the media pick and choose what they want to highlight. Next. So, the Sunnis, they formed a movement. They initiated a movement. You want to give me another reminder? They initiated a movement called Haraq Sha'bi. It's called the People's Movement. The People's Uprising. A revolution of the Sunni people. And they organized rallies across Iraq. Before that. That's right, before that. See? They were praying on the streets. We have never seen these photos until these sheikhs came and shared with us the reality in Iraq that has never been shown on any media throughout the world. Even Jazeera failed to show this for whatever reason. Okay? Massive rally across the country, not just in one city, but almost major cities, especially in the north and in the west of Iraq. Next. So there was a major uprising. And Nouri al-Maliki, the Shiite regime, or regime that was ruled by elements of Shiite, supported by Iran. This is the truth. Unfortunately, I have to speak in this language. Because like I said, the sectarian nature of the conflict could not be sidelined. We have to expose them. Although it is not the whole story. If you just focus on the sectarian nature of the conflict, it also fails to address the issue. But we have to address every component of the conflict so that we have the complete picture of what is happening. So these are pictures of the uprising. Next. So this is even larger than rallies that support Gaza that was organized in London, that amassed 100,000 people, 150,000 people the second time. We are talking about perhaps 500,000, even millions people came up in support of against the call for Nouri al-Maliki to stop these oppressive measures. Next. So these are all pictures of the demonstration. So what happened? The government came under threat. Right after this mass demonstration, suddenly ISIS came into the picture. Suddenly. And you know, this is from the words of the Sheikh. The people, the local people, suddenly met with criminals that was released from the prison who were turned into commanders of this ISIS group. They know these people. They were criminals. They were imprisoned. But when the people rose against the government, they released these criminals to head an armed group, an armed uprising who is supposed to be attacking the Shiites. But what happened? That's why I said everything has been orchestrated. In the words of the Sheikh, this is what he said. It is just like the Hollywood movie. They created this group with the belief that this group is going to attack the government, to attack the Shiites. But what happened? They targeted the Sunnis. They targeted the Sunnis when they claim the Caliphate, the establishment of the Caliphate. They go on the streets and they start asking the public, members of the public, are you going to give bay'ah to the Caliphate? No. They killed them. And if they meet anyone on the street, they will ask him to recite Kalimah Shahadah at gunpoint. And just remember, somebody pointed a gun at your head and asked you to recite Kunut. Can you remember? At-tahiyat, baca tahiyat. They are the Khawarij of this time, of the modern times. They act based on the strict interpretation of the Quran. That's why I mentioned Taliban in Afghanistan. They are the same people that were manipulated and exploited by this agenda. Whoever is behind the creation of ISIS, they have exploited this sincere youth. These youth are sincere. They are attracted to ISIS. Why? Because ISIS calls for the establishment of Islamic Caliphate, calls for Jihad, calls for the killing of the Kafirs. So they join in. And they act based on their very raw knowledge of Islam. The strict interpretation of Islam. They declare everyone who does not subscribe to the ideology as kafir. And they went on the street, they rampaged and rounded up the army and killed them by literally slaughtering them. I think you have seen images of those. No point showing it on the screen. Even if they are guilty, what rights do you have to execute them summarily? Do you have any rights to kill people on the street? Even if they are guilty, they must be subjected to the rule of law. They must be brought to the court of law and tried. Islam never calls for summary execution. But because these people, they were sincere young people who have a very raw interpretation of Islam, they were exploited by this so-called ISIS. Now, who is behind this ISIS? Now, let us go back to Syria. Bashar Assad was on the track. President Barack Obama has been threatening from time to bomb Syria. Once they dropped the chemical bombs, they used what gas?
Phosphorus.
Not white phosphorus, that is in Gaza. They have been using it's a nerve gas, the same gas that they use to deal with insects, insecticide. Okay? So Barack Obama threatened to punish Bashar Assad for using chemical bombs. And remember, 150,000 people has already been slaughtered and killed by the 2-year-long war in Syria. Nothing happened. It's a threat, remain a threat. And Bashar Assad continue to massacre his own people, drop barrel bombs and what have you. Suddenly, ISIS came into the picture to salve